order. Pledge of Allegiance. Mary Ann, do you want to read
over here?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have a flag in your office there, Neil?
Yeah, no, I was looking at yours.
Oh, okay, good, perfect. We have some minutes to approve.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the March 14th regular meeting minutes.
A second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. All those opposed? No abstentions, no anything else.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 28th regular meeting minutes.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No.
And finally, you want it.
No, go for it.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 28th non-public meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So all announcements. All regular meetings will begin at 5 p.m. The Select Board will meet on the following dates: Monday, April 25th, May 9th, and May 23rd. If a work session is needed, it'll be included with the regular meeting. The Select Board will meet in a work session for negotiation discussion on Monday, May 2nd at 4 p.m. and Monday, May 23rd at 3 p.m. All meetings will be held upstairs in the town hall and will be held by Zoom. Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouth-nh.org. And any citizens other than Anne wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify Town Hall before 12 p.m. the Friday before the scheduled meeting. All right. Chairman comments. Just quickly confirming that one of the things that I wanted to talk about on here is good, non-public item. So nothing else from me. Appointments. We have an appointment request for Guy Mathieu to be an alternate on the planning board. So I will read the letter that June wrote to us. Dated April 7th, 2022 to the Select Board from June Hammond Rowan, the Planning and Development Director, in regards to planning board appointment, Guy Mathieu as an alternate member. Guy Mathieu is a resident of Plymouth and recently contacted us about joining the planning board. Guy submitted the following summary of his background, experience, and interests. Technical project manager for 34 years, 10 years as a civil engineer, highway engineer, project manager, State of Connecticut Department of Transportation. In the last 24 years as a business intelligence and data analytics project manager, developer, consultant. Also worked in Connecticut DOT Project Concepts Unit for 2 years on de-risking difficult highway improvement and safety projects to ensure federal ISTEA funds didn't get wasted. Real estate investor, bought, upgraded, and sold 6 houses, living in my best project to date on Chatterin Lane in Plymouth since 2008. Interested in helping the town address infrastructure issues such as roadways and major capital improvements by leveraging my rusty engineering project management skills. I've talked to Guy by phone and believe his background would be an asset to the planning board. In particular, he's interested in a CIP subcommittee. Please consider appointing Guy Mathieu as an alternate member of the planning board for a 3-year term from April 2022 to April 2025.
So moved.
I move that we approve his letter to be a member of the planning board as an alternate.
A second.
Bill seconds. Any discussion?
I know Mr. Mathieu. I've known him for a number of years, and he's very very sharp, experienced engineer, and he's very interested in the town. He'd like to give some time to the town.
Yeah, that's great.
I agree.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Neil.
Ooh, he just dropped out.
Neil has dropped out at this point, but that's okay.
Yeah, I got disconnected
Oh,
momentarily.
we still got
We hear
him.
you.
We got him
We're there.
verbally. We just made a motion to, or we had a motion from you and Bill. We were voting in favor.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed?
Aye.
Seeing none. Okay. Good. I think we still have one more alternate open in the planning board.
Sorry.
I believe that's true. So, any citizens interested, please reach out. All right, we also have a resignation to accept here. So this is to dated April 7th, 2022. Attention, Chief Hutchins, Deputy Chief Buffington, Plymouth Police Department. Dear Chief Hutchins, I am tendering my resignation with the Police Department effective 4 p.m. April 7th, 2022. I am grateful for having the opportunity to work for the town of Plymouth for the last 4.5 years and wish the members of this department the best. Sincerely, Christopher Bridges.
I move that we accept the resignation of Christopher Bridges from the Plymouth Police Department.
I'll second.
Any discussion about this one? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none. All right. Cruising right through. On to new purchase orders. Chief. Or actually, I guess it's Kevin, not Deputy Chief on the docket for this one.
Good evening. Basically, what I have here is I have a purchase order for 11 new portable radios. The money is out of the article warrant that was approved by town meeting to take effect July 1st. Now, as we stated, as you probably experienced last year, if you noticed, we ordered portable radios. It took like 7 months to get them or something like that. So I'm just trying to get ahead to get them before 2023 or later. So I just want to get them in order now. If we do it now, there's also an option to possibly save a little money before the new rates kick in. That's why we're able to afford 11 portable radios versus the 10. So it's just best value for the town at this moment. It's to replace, it's part of that, as I stated in my letter, it's part of the 3-year period of replacing radios, the tiered program that we had kind of ran with. We did the first batch last year, and the second batch is this year.
Is that it? That completes?
No, we still need about 9 to 10 more, depending on with this new person coming on July 1st. So we'll need about 10 more to fulfill all staff obligations. The point of these radios is to have every person on the fire ground. All the radios are individually assigned. Hopefully, will be assigned to the individuals so we can have safety. That's our only safety measure.
In my experience, I can tell you that ordering radios has taken months. Even batteries, I ordered some batteries and they won't ship out for a couple more months.
You have any other questions I can answer at this time?
Any concern, Anne?
The 4 radios that are being traded in, what are those radios?
It's the 20-year-old Grant radios, the Motorola, the portables, yeah.
They're probably like the XTS 2500s.
Yeah, the 2500s.
Many years ago.
It's the ones we got from the FEMA grant post 9/11, where they just, every fire department was issued radios. So those are all the radios we're still running with. They're between 17 and 20 years old, depending on the range we received them. So I know the average lifespan of these portables is not even close to that long. But we're making do. So that's what this money is, to replace them.
Are these the same Motorola models that you bought in the first phase?
Correct. Yes. The goal is to keep them all the same exact model, functionality. So in case of emergency, I can grab someone else's radio and know exactly how to use it.
Nice.
One other thing you'll see under the quotes, I did want to mention this because it was a learning curve for me. I know you require us to have 3 quotes, but I was only to obtain 2. These are only 2 distributors from Motorola themselves. I talked to them. We're only allowed to do 2 out of our region. They're very restrictive rules on who can sell and who cannot sell fire service radios. Same with police and everyone else. And these are only 2 places I could get quotes for our state and our region. So I wanted to address that with you guys.
All right.
Excuse me, with your board. So.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Questions? Anybody?
Make a motion to accept this purchase order for 11 portable radios, batteries, and 1 multi-unit charger and lapel mics for $28,739.78.
Second.
Any discussion? And do we need to waive the 3rd quote, or do you think this documentation's enough?
I think this is enough, but that's up to you.
I think it's fair as well.
Yeah, it says it's not available due to restrictions, so.
Yeah, seems
This'll
very
be a-
clearly documented.
This will be attached to the purchase order, so if the auditor ever looks at it, we can say,
These are the same vendors we used previous times.
Yep.
That's the same method we used to.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Approved.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Morrison.
Good evening.
F250.
Yes, as you may recall, we ordered a new truck about a year ago, and I've lost confidence in it ever being built. It was going to be built last fall, and this winter we were told April, and this April we were told next fall. So, in the meantime, the vehicle that we have is effectively out of service for mechanical and corrosion issues. And so we've been shopping for a pre-owned vehicle for quite some time. And we think we have a pretty good deal from NuCar Ford. And it's a 2021, and the deputy and I looked at it Friday. We took it for a ride. It's like new. As I said in the letter, it's got 9,000 miles on it. The factory warranty will transfer to us as the new owner. And it won't be there long. They agreed to hold it until tonight, but I know they had an offer on it this weekend, so it's a good thing we asked them to hold it. As we looked around, you'll see the other 3 that we considered weren't even close in terms of, being new and having that little mileage.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, that 2019 was similar money, but it had 43,000 miles on it. That's pretty significant, so I would propose that we move on this. They also NuCar gave us a $500 discount off of their destination fee because we're a municipality, so we were pleased about that. Appreciate your support.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Neil.
This looks like the best deal. What's going to happen to the 2010 pickup truck that you're replacing?
My proposal is to sell that, Neil. We'll advertise.
Market's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll advertise that for
Make a
sale,
few repairs on it so it's roadworthy, and then sell it.
if that's okay with the board.
Might
Well,
get $20,000 for it.
yeah,
Probably not.
probably not.
I drove it the other day. It's in rough shape.
Yeah.
We said there's, body issues and
Might be
mechanical
some pro-
issues, so is it worth fixing it up or what? Or are you just
No.
gonna sell it
As is.
No.
as is, yeah?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't, we don't have the money, number one, and number two, yeah.
Why throw good money away?
My second question, you're gonna get 5,500 for 2 old police cruisers. Will that come off of the 40,919?
No, that's included in that already.
Okay.
And that vehicle we looked at the Kelly Blue Book, it's just below, what the Kelly Blue Book says it should go for, and it'll
When
hold.
you,
Does that mean the actual
When you priced out these other two, was that same trade considered?
Yes. Yeah, they were the only dealership that would allow for those cruisers, which was awesome, thank you.
So does that mean that the actual retail price on this is 52,000?
No, it's
Oh,
40.
5,500 total for the two.
Right. Add 5,500 to that
Gotcha.
purchase order number.
So it would be 4,600. I mean,
Thereabouts.
46,000. Yeah.
Yep.
And what's the
And
Kelly,
the others were without a trade, right?
the Kelly Blue Book?
It's that this price that they quoted us was $600 less than the KBB. I'm sorry,
Well,
Neil.
I still think this is the best deal. No, what I was saying is that the other two never, their price did not reflect a trade-in.
Yes, it does.
Oh,
But it also includes a $600 destination fee because those vehicles are not in Plymouth. They're at other
I still
NuCar.
think this is the best deal.
Now, did you say this was, we had ordered a new truck or something from them previously and it just didn't come in?
Yeah, they're not being built.
So do we void that previous purchase order?
We never had a purchase order for the truck.
They had approval.
Okay, you had approval until you
Yeah.
discussed with them ordering it, but there was never any purchase order
Right.
for the original truck.
We did purchase the new radio. We have the new radio for it already, but that was a different account.
You didn't put a purchase order in when you actually ordered the truck?
I don't think so.
So if he did, we'll double check, but that will be voided out.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this will replace that.
And is there additional cost to get radios and things put in this vehicle?
We will end up paying install fees, but we have all the equipment. That had been budgeted in the radio line,
Okay.
so.
Don't you have anyone with the fire department similar to Alex that can put it in?
Yeah, we got some friends in the business.
I know other area departments ordered cruisers and they just all got canceled too.
Wow.
There's about 25,000 municipal vehicles in their system that there's no guarantee they're ever going to get built. And it's a business decision. The profit margin is so small that, they'll sell pickups to you and I for 15,000 more than what they're going to charge the municipality. So they're not being built right now.
Wow.
This is basically a new truck.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's only a year old.
It is like new.
Yeah. I'd make a motion to buy it.
Okay. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
I should have said, do we need authorize Kathy or to sign for that?
Nope, I can do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, no Scott, so no emergency management update.
Nope.
New other business. Ted,
Yeah.
continuing our discussion of operational metrics.
And I'll need screen share ability.
Need some screen share for your laptop. And this week we're looking at the library.
We're looking at the library.
Diane, do you want to join us up here while we're discussing library stuff? You're good? Okay.
Need to get windows out of my way.
And just for a reminder, everybody, we're we're trying to establish some better metrics, really more for the board than anybody, just to understand how various departments budget, plan for expenses, et cetera, so that we can be more helpful as budget cycles come up. We're not trying to put anybody on the spot. That's not the goal here. We're just trying to learn and make us as a board more helpful.
So, thanks to Diane and Kathy for gathering all the data. I will try to blow it up a little bit. So I can still see it, but we just need a bigger projection device. Board.
Yeah. Time for a bigger screen.
Yeah. So basically, I'll see how big I can make it and still make it readable. No one's going to see that over there. So, yeah, you probably have the best view, Neil. Aside from myself. But essentially, well, I blew it up too much. But essentially, we gathered, when I mean Diane, information from a number of towns. I'm not really sure where she got it specifically.
The census and the libraries themselves.
Yep. And it contains information regarding, how many hours a week they're open, the population of the town, how many full-time and part-time employees they have, their total budget, whether or not the health benefits are included in the department line, and as well the retirement benefits. I'm going to shrink some of these things down so maybe I can get a little bit more information visible. As well as the poverty rate of those particular towns. So this was collected for Tilton Northfield, Ringe Ingalls, Henniker Tucker, Sandown, Hillsborough, Ossipee, Littleton, Brentwood, Hooksett, the Minot Sleeper one in Bristol, Plastow, the Pease Library in Plymouth, Wyndham, Amherst, Tamworth, Newbury, Moultonborough, and Newington. So a good cross-section of libraries. And there's a variety of population data. Some of the towns are quite a bit larger than us. One is very small, only 811 residents. So I'm not really sure that one's a very good representative sample because it's so small. So I used the raw numbers to make a calculation. What's that?
For that tiny town, they have a huge budget.
Yeah, yes, they do. It's kind of an anomaly. I'm not sure why it's so large.
Sometimes it's interesting to see an outlier like that, though, to put things in.
I suspect that there's probably some minimal threshold
To be able to operate a library at all.
Yes, and so it's probably not too far from that that minimal threshold to begin with, unless you're just not open. But so the budgets ranged from 287,000 ish, or actually a little bit lower. I'll sort this in terms of size of budget. 216,000 all the way up to 1.3 million. So some of them, as you might expect, the larger towns are more likely to have a larger operating budget. But just looking at it strictly on budget doesn't really tell enough of a story to do any comparisons. So I did some rudimentary cost comparisons. Cost per thousand of population is a measure. Cost per week, and a cost per hour that it's open. And so the cost per hour ranged from $102 per hour all the way up to almost $400 an hour. As you might imagine, the larger per hour cost is for the larger towns. So maybe a better metric to look at would be the cost per 1,000 people. And so coming in at the lowest cost per 1,000 is the Tilton Northfield at $32,000 in change for each 1,000 people covered. And it ranges all the way up to $320,000 in the Newington Library. And so you can see here, Plymouth is certainly not at the absolute top of the line, but it's in the, it looks like it's in the upper third, maybe at the crest of the upper third. Certainly in the upper half per cost per 1,000 people. $78,484 and change. So this gives us at least a good idea of how we fit in terms of the overall population selected. We're sort of in the middle of the pack.
Ted, that poverty rate, high percentage there means more poverty in the community?
Yes, I think
so. We're kind of in the fairly high on that particular
I think part of that is because the population of Plymouth also includes students.
And all of
That number doesn't.
No, that number includes students.
six.
Yes, it does.
6,600 does.
Poverty rate in Plymouth,
Yeah, we do.
as it does Meredith, this area.
Yep.
Just has
So it inflates it probably some.
A little, yeah. But it definitely, if you think about libraries serving underserved communities, then you could understand maybe why we wouldn't be right at the bottom.
No, yeah, we wouldn't be at the bottom.
Dead middle, because that is something that's going to push up the demand for our services a bit. Yeah.
Clearly, Littleton has a really high poverty rate. The highest in the
Any
mix.
debt service involved in those higher price communities?
I couldn't begin to tell you.
Oh, interesting. You mean you'd have to look into it to see, do they have a library funded or, through payments or anything?
This is just, I guess Diane would know better than any of us.
Any debt service in those higher priced budgets? Is that why they're inflated?
debt service.
Like bills for bonds or?
Like they have any big loans that are paying for the building.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I mean, I do know that Newington being very, so I just, because I know from talking to other directors, it's a very wealthy little community. Amherst Town Library, for instance, tends to be part of a wealthy little cache of communities over there. So I don't know exactly how they are funded, but I do know that they tend to be wealthier towns. Towns like, with the higher poverty rates, you'll notice we tend to provide higher amounts of community services. Sandown as well, as you'll notice, the poverty rate's a little bit lower, even though our populations are similar. They don't provide as many services. Like, for instance, the number of public computers that I don't have this on yet, that they provide, it's a smaller number. The connections that they have with their schools. I mean, a lot of these guys, I actually called up and talked to them, and it's just, their services are different. We have a...
Yep.
So
just to repeat, Diane, since it wouldn't have been picked up by the microphone, some of the towns with the higher poverty rate are actually providing more services for their community.
They are, because they're filling a need, for instance, for public computers and...
Public computers,
They're making connections with community services. This tended to be more of a pre-COVID thing, but we did a lot of, we provided a lot of spaces and connections with Lakes Region, the Lakes Region folks. We haven't seen them come back since COVID, but especially pre-COVID, we did a lot of things with community groups. Bill can attest to the fact that even though our business hours may end at a certain hour, often community groups stay and use our rooms beyond our open hours, and staff is in the building by 9.
I'm not saying I take advantage of the, no.
And people do, meeting room space, and Plymouth is at a premium, and there aren't a lot of places that nonprofit groups can go and use things affordably, and so the library offers that option. So even if it's beyond our normal working hours.
So Diane, do any of the libraries collect traffic data in terms of how many people are coming in and
But
making?
yes, we call them people counters because they're counting people, and we do as well. And
Because it might be interesting if we had that piece of data to add to the mix here.
I wonder what the cost of collecting that for all these 20 libraries would be.
Well, do they? You can't capture it.
yeah,
Do they?
So we do, and again, before COVID, it was much more robust because the meeting rooms play a part in that. But there's so the most recent statistics I think right now are 2020 because I'm just now completing the 2021 data.
Well, I would say that probably a better representative sample
Yeah.
would be 2019 data before COVID, so that we get a rough idea of what the foot traffic is.
We can do that.
in
Yeah,
terms
because
of-
all bets are going to be off for 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Even this year, probably to date, it's probably been fairly strange.
Yeah. Our meeting room statistics prior to COVID were between 150 and 200 meeting room uses per month. And now we're going back to 50 to 90, I would say, which is recovering, but not like it was.
Yeah, not still back to full utilization of the library and the
Yeah.
facilities. Yeah.
Any questions? Okay.
I think this is great.
Yeah, that's good.
At least the initial data shows that our library seems to be.
We're in the middle of the pack.
We're not wildly overfunding or wildly underfunding. It seems fairly right-sized, and I think that's a testament to the work that the Library Board of Trustees do. And
In fact, if you look at the numbers, we're almost identical in every respect to Meredith, except that they don't cover health or retirement. Everything else, same population, same budget.
Do you know Doug Grant? He's our newest trustee.
I know Doug Grant.
we have not met, but name is good also for the minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
523,
changed the
524,
filter.
Yeah.
And, when I change the filter, Meredith does just show up there in a similar location.
Yep.
Originally, I was filtering on
Only people who were
who are identical.
yeah in terms of health benefits and things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so if I look for Meredith again, it's right there with us, 12.8, same number. The cost per 1,000 residents is about the same. So
Staffing sizes are really similar.
everything is very similar. So, yes, as you point out. So we are where we would expect to be.
We need to spruce up, though. One thing that we kind of let go during the pandemic is that we, if you'll notice, we really cut it down to the core. And if you look, especially on the Russell Street side of the building, it really looks like the library's wearing its pajamas. So we really, we need to have a power wash done. We need to get some painting done. So forgive us while we,
Some maintenance work.
yeah, we need to put our makeup back on.
Well, I haven't noticed that, so you're doing a good job
Being
regardless.
very kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will
Thank you.
stop sharing. Look forward to our next report. I'm not sure what Kathy's got up next.
Okay. Kathy has identified someone next.
Yeah, I'm expecting it's probably something that's easier to gather numbers on. It's probably either parking or recycling.
Recycling.
Oh,
Oh, Kathy.
Oh, she is there.
Hi.
Hi, Kathy.
Voice from nowhere.
Guys. Yeah, we're ready to go with the recycling at the next meeting.
excellent.
Sorry.
That's fantastic. All right. We'll look forward to that. Next up, Abear with ADA accessibility policy.
Okay, so in front of you, you should have the accessibility policy. I reached out to a couple organizations, but they really weren't able to help me create this policy. And I reached out to Scott Whedon, and within 10 minutes, he had a policy in front of us. He's very knowledgeable. Very thankful to have him. So what we have to do is we have to have a policy that says that we understand that there may be ADA issues that we need to deal with here at the town hall, at the police station, at the fire station. When we create a sidewalk, how are they getting from, across the street? And so this is a policy that I did look back at our prior policies. I did not see one. So this policy, it's pretty simple. I do see on the page, on the second page, it says, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, the grievance procedure. Item number 3, the zip code is wrong on there, so I'll have to change that zip code on there. It goes about to explain to someone who may have a grievance against the town, what they do, who they contact, and there's a form that they fill out to let us know, and we have a time period to respond to them. For the time being, I have been put in as the ADA coordinator. This isn't something I do by myself. There should be a team created for this, people that understand ADA all the way around. So our first act was to create the policy and the grievance procedure. And again, with Scott Whedon's help, I was able to do that. The next will be looking at individual departments to see if we have any issues there, working with them. And I will probably reach out to Scott again for some help. He's a great resource, as well as Primex. They may be able to help us looking at individual areas. So this is for when you're applying for and receiving federal and state funds, grants, you should be having one of these policies in place.
Right.
So this was a start to it. This is just something to get us going. And you can always make amendments as you need to in the future, including to the coordinator.
What happens when you receive one of these forms?
One of these forms, it says they must include their name, address, phone number. The alleged discrimination, including location, date, and brief description is given. Alternate means of filing, they can file it in person, they can come in and see us, they can submit it to me via mail, they can, so then we review the procedure.
Who's we in that case?
I'm sorry?
Who's we in that case?
We would be probably the town. It would come to me first, and then that committee that we should create at some point will be reviewing it. It's not just me. Yeah. Definitely if the board member wants to be on it, if you're familiar with ADA, we'll open it up,
Scott should be on it?
I'm sorry?
Scott.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems like a natural fit.
So they would submit the complaint, we would review it, and then the ADA coordinator would meet with the committee. And I believe we have 30 days to respond to the complaint. And then they can appeal from the decision that was made to the town manager.
Okay.
And the town manager has 15 days to respond back. So this is, we have never had this before, but now that we have a procedure and we need to post it,
Yeah.
we may have some come forward, so.
I think, well, as far as compliance, weren't we supposed to, along with like every other, like federal and state building, comply with ADA back in 1990?
Probably.
Okay,
Whether we did or not with a policy, I don't know.
right, yeah. I know that everyone was scurrying around trying to, put ramps and
Right.
elevators if need be, get rid of the steps
And maybe they just did not create a policy, they just did it. I don't know.
yeah. I'm glad, we haven't had an issue yet of non-compliance or.
No. But the issue may come with South Main Street, because they're gonna be ripping sidewalks out of there. They have to make sure that everybody can get to where they want to go. Everybody, to a reasonable extent.
I know at least the crosswalks are being planned for to
Yes.
accommodate.
And curb cuts are done correctly so that people can get in areas that they need to be.
You just mentioned steps. It's a slightly different topic, but do we know what's going on with our steps?
I was wondering the same thing.
We have put a request out to Stanley Grayton. The last we had heard from him is he had ordered the granite,
Okay,
and that was back in February.
right.
So
right.
I don't.
We knew he probably wasn't going to do any work until
Right.
spring, but it's a
But
beautiful day today.
It is beautiful. He's probably got many projects going,
Yeah,
but
okay.
yes,
Do you need a motion to
I
accept
do.
this policy?
I do.
I'll make a motion to accept the ADA accessibility policy.
I'll second.
Any discussion about the policy? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Looks like none.
Thank you,
So
Ann.
I'm sure that will probably come back again before the board at some point as we make some updates. So the next item that I have here is acceptance of donations. Recently, the town of Plymouth lost a senior who passed away tragically.
High school senior.
High school senior, I'm sorry. The donations that are coming in now have been utilized for Fox Park. That was in his obituary. The Park and Rec Department has not decided yet what they're going to do with the funds. In this memo, as of April 7th, we had received $1,345. Since this memo, we have now received $1,910. And I have another deposit waiting to go in, and I'm not sure of how much that's going to be. So at this time, it's still under the $10,000. We do not need a public hearing to accept these funds and expend them. They will be designated specifically in another fund, so they will not be part of the Park and Rec, so that they're used just for this purpose. Okay? So all I need from the board is a vote to accept the funds at this time. If it goes up to the $10,000, I'll bring it back for a vote. As the funds get expended, the board or town manager will be approving purchase orders as you do any other purchase order.
So when they use this money, Park and Rec, is it just under their discretion? I mean, I know it says it goes to Fox Park, but is that really just sort of?
It would be for Park and Rec would decide at Fox Park what they would like to see. I know that they have reached out to the family as well
Right,
to
that's
see
what
if
I
there's something specific that they were thinking, because the obituary just said for use for Parks and Rec at Fox Park. So there may be many different items that they'll be able to do over time. But I don't suspect that this will be a long term. I think it's just at this present time since his loss.
I'll make a motion that we accept the donations in the amount of $1,900 and whatever the change was
$1,910 at this time.
at this time, to be sequestered away in a designated fund for the purposes of Fox Park.
Second.
Any discussion? I think this was a really nice thing for the Bisson family to do.
Beautiful gesture. Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Looks like no. All right. Just making sure we don't have any other time. Okay. Memorial Day. Ann.
I was asked for the board to consider a clergy for Memorial Day if you had a preference, or if you want us just to ask around. Because of a new chairman, I think that she was thinking there may be a preference. Because you will be,
Yeah, I think I chose the last
usually the
one.
chairman speaks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a preference.
You don't, okay.
No.
Any of the board have a
Anybody on the
preference?
board? Yeah.
I don't know when the last Congo church was there, but I know we did,
Unitarian?
we did Scuff, yeah, we did that, Star King, and it's been a while since the Congregational Church, I think. Last event, it was the church out by across from McDonald's.
I believe Father Leo is leaving at the end of April, so I know that he will not be available.
Okay.
But there may be a new person coming in for that, if that's what you'd like.
No
Preference.
Pick-
Congregational Church.
Yeah, I defer.
Put names in a hat.
Okay.
See which one rises. What?
Wow.
Is that it for Memorial Day?
That's it for Memorial Day.
ARPA funds.
All right, so I didn't get a chance to talk to Kathy about this, but I've gone ahead and we're just about ready to submit our report for the first year of ARPA funds. Right now, we have, I believe that we've received about $318,000. We are slated for $718,000. I just wanted the board to know, one, where we have spent those funds. As you look down through that list, Ted, you should have a list. Everybody got it? Okay.
It's over here.
So we did some work behind the elementary school or the high school for Plymouth Village Water and Sewer. We did $138,000 there. Bartlett Road Phase 1, we did some drainage, $12,900 there. We do have additional drainage to be done on Phase 2, and I've slated $15,000 for there, knowing that there is an increase coming up. So that actually leaves $567,480 remaining in those ARPA funds. And as you know now that, or you may not know, IRS has changed the rules. You can actually, as long as you did not receive $10 million, you can actually take those funds now and use them on any town purchase or infrastructure work or vehicles or buildings or etc. So after
Other roads.
what I'm hearing, and I'm going to just go specifically to what I would ask the board to consider, and there may be other departments here as well that may ask, we need a grader. So attached to this, I have put a price for a brand new grader, which is very scary. Our grader is limping. They are on their last legs with it. At one point, they told us it was done. The highway department, this is for the purchase of a grader. I would ask the board to consider using part of those $567,000. See what we can come up with. This is only one quote. This is something real quick. The other area that was mentioned earlier is streetscaping once South Main Street is done. We can't add it into the project because these are both federal funds. We don't want to get in trouble for that. But there is some work to be done there once the majority of South Main Street is done. And that will leave you, if we get the grader, I'm saying about $230 left for potentially that or another item. This is money that, as Don Jutton says, pennies from heaven. Somebody's paying for it, but I'd like to see us use it instead of it just sitting there. If you have other ideas, let's.
I mean, there's a number of different things we could do with it. We could throw it back into, the general, we can, reimburse it for tax purposes, but that's not,
We get ahead on a road.
yeah.
There's so many roads.
Ones that are really bad.
Well, streetscaping might be considered a valuable use of that for the fact that, it's beautification of our downtown, which,
But that's over, it's like 18 months at the
yeah, a couple of
earliest.
years. Well, we've got until 2026
26, I believe.
to
Yep.
expend these funds.
But in the meantime, it's sitting in the bank.
Only half of it is sitting in the
Yeah,
bank.
we haven't got the second tranche yet.
So I'd like the board to consider, I mean, that's a huge piece of equipment, huge. I believe that Tommy got an ambulance last year, Tom?
Yes, that was the USDA
Yep.
money.
He's also getting a fire truck, hopefully in the coming year. We've already budgeted for that. Cruisers, those you could fit in there somewhere. The heavy equipment is what really gets us due to the cost.
Personally, I would be very tempted, knowing that we have until 2026, to hold on making a decision until the CIP subcommittee comes back, right? Because they're working on planning out some infrastructure, knowing that they had some money to work with in terms of investing in one or multiple of those projects. I would love to see a recommendation from that group. I tend to agree with you. Greater, we've been talking about it for a long time.
It's
But-
limping. If you let it die, it may not be worth anything on trade-in. This number here is without trade-in.
Yeah.
What's the trade-in, do you know?
I have no clue. I have no idea.
And do we know whether we'd be able to get it? Well,
I
because
guess the trade-in would be 5,000.
For that grader? Or are you just guessing? I mean, obviously you're guessing, but,
You might be able to get 5,000 out of it,
well,
There might be
300,
some
over
local
300,000.
contract,
125.
pay a little more.
Well, they got 20,000 for a fire truck, so maybe somebody will want to use grader.
Yeah.
I don't know. I keep bringing it back, that we need to think about that. And if the board wants to wait, I'll reluctantly tell Joe that he's going to have to wait. He will have to rent a grader if he can't keep this one going. You can only patch so much before you're putting so much money into something.
maybe, I mean, the extreme need for a grader is kind of going away, for the fact that, we kind of got through mud season, almost. And if he's in need for like an immediate replacement, could we maybe price it out, price out a replacement through multiple bids and see exactly how much we're going to be dealing with?
If the board will entertain that, I'll get him to get some bids. But
kind
I
of
think
like-
the board needs to talk to him as well. I don't know the equipment. I know that it's bad.
I'd also be really interested to know, a 5-year-old grader, does that take it from 320,000 to 200,000? Right? Or does
that's a good point. Is there a
because
place?
what's our grader? It's like a 1985 or something, right? We've had that
That's 20
for
or 25 years old.
like 35 years or something.
35 years.
So 5 years of life to save $100,000, we would probably do that. But if that knocks $10,000 off, that's not very interesting.
All right, so cost of equipment, additional quotes, new versus used.
Yeah.
Anything.
We don't want something that's rickety, obviously, but
Right.
Something that is relatively lightly used.
lightly used.
I would say late model with low hours.
Yeah.
Late model, what do you say, low hours?
Low hours,
Yep,
because they don't measure it in miles.
true.
All right, so I'll get some additional information and ask Joe to be at the next meeting and see if he can.
Another piece of information that I personally would find really helpful, because I don't know this off the top of my head, Ted actually might have this number. How many miles of dirt road do we have in town?
When we did the road information
We had
couple
paved, right?
we got 2-lane roads, but we never got a figure for.
I can get you that.
There is, yeah, we had
I can
that.
get that.
Well, highway should have it too.
Yeah,
right?
highway would.
I'm sure they have. It would just give some context when we go to approve or not approve something.
Right. And the fact that you're not going to be using it on a paved road. So.
Right, exactly. It only applies to the unpaved roadways.
It just seems like every time he goes to use it, it's broke.
Yep, I recall the last time he went to use it and it was broken. So
Yep.
I was walking the road there.
Curious what the rental cost is as well.
I think we've been through that before as well, and it seems like it's they kind of skewer you.
Because you have to get it brought to you. There's
Yeah.
travel fees. And
Yeah.
It would be different if it was.
And they're busiest the time of year we need them.
Yeah.
Well, let's say for the sake of argument, let's say it was in Rumney, where we might be able to drive it to where we need it, versus being shipped up from the southern part of the state or
Kathy,
something.
that's you.
Yeah. Interesting question, though.
So I'll get some additional information and we'll bring it back. I'd hate to just give it up. I'm looking to spend the money. We have it, we need to use it.
Yeah, but to Zach's point, I'd love to see the list of projects that kind of
I mean, we have.
prioritize, and this clearly is important, but it's also a huge chunk.
We can
It's
still,
hard for me to know, and we are going to dig into this in that CIP subcommittee, but it's always hard for me to say, okay, we need a grader. We also need to pave Emerson Street, and then how do you decide? Well, this year is the grader year, and this year is the Emerson Street year, and so putting together a plan like we're talking about with CIP, at least we can lay that out and say, this is the plan, as opposed to jumping on something.
I was just going to joke for the fact that we could put like granite curbing on Bartlett Road.
Oh,
Or we, sidewalks.
Yeah.
Emerson Street's in failure. It gets a high traffic load, and we're going to have to coordinate with water and sewer because all the infrastructure is going to have to be replaced.
Yeah, Emerson's
Yeah.
that one's
Emerson.
a problem. Yeah,
And I believe that they've got a preliminary engineering plan
They
for
do.
the street.
They do.
But you got to coordinate with water and sewer on it, so that would, dictate your timetable.
Or we could just have them dig it up now. It won't be any worse.
buy the grader, have them dig it up, put it back to dirt.
right, that's all I had.
We have dirt roads, Loon Lake Road and Chason Road and Bell Road and I
Road,
think
yeah.
Morse Road.
Yep.
And,
Morse Road.
Morse
No,
Road is
actually,
paved.
yeah.
And
Remember,
then
yeah,
the
there's like
Hebron
a-
Road and Texas Hill Road. And,
Yeah.
Yep.
There's quite a few miles.
Yeah.
Texas Hill Road is pretty extensive on the other end.
True.
And at least
Plus, they
it
tend
was
to
in
use
pretty
the
bad
grader
shape during one
for
season this year.
doing, what they call when they shim the road with asphalt. The state does it quite often. They use a grader for shimming asphalt to try to keep a road in good condition without having to pave it completely. And Fairgrounds Road was recently shimmed last year to try and save it.
All right. Any more discussion on ARPA funds? Right. Let's talk about the Board of Selectmen plate a little bit. As a reminder, this is a document of
Send you
things that are our priorities, things that we're trying to
for you by Friday.
move forward actively in this session year. Has everyone had a chance to look through this
Over the years.
Yeah.
over the years? Yeah. Just taking a quick glance through again myself. I think there's some nice ones here that do kind of dovetail with even conversations we've had tonight. You know, there's a bullet in here about pursuing more grants, which, you know, doing this accessibility policy is in support of that effort. This year is the Life Safety Service Agreement negotiations, so that's coming. Oh, there's one of these bullets I want to talk to you about here, Ted, in the next section. That next bullet. Is there anything that's anybody can think of that we're trying to work on here that's missing? One that I can think of at town meeting, there was a sort of what was feel of the meeting, whatever they call it, sense of the meeting around nonprofits, which is not on here. We should put something in here about that.
Yeah, even if it's like legislative, you know, it should be placed on.
Oh yeah, I think they wanted us to pursue with our representatives ways of addressing the overabundance of nonprofits in the town of Plymouth.
Was it stated more generically than that? I mean, I think that that's probably our best path, but
I'm trying to remember the phraseology.
Sure, it's in the minutes.
we should review those minutes and just make sure that it's represented in here.
I know that recently we have done some proposed updates to the personnel policy, PO policy, procurement policy. Those are not on here, but those will be probably within the next 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
We'll be bringing those policy updates to you.
There are a couple in here that are marked as done. Can they be removed from the list? Like the Faverland and the Tenny Mountain conservation easements?
They can be removed. And the culvert and road inventory, that's been done.
I don't think
waiting for the
that
report.
Tenny Mountain.
Well, we should leave it
easement
there
is
until we've had a
done.
chance to review the report. What's that?
Is the easement that it's referencing here Riverside? Because that isn't done quite yet.
No, this is Tenny Mountain. Or I mean, maybe where's the Faverland?
That's across, well, there's like two pieces that we accepted. And that was done by our attorney and also Deb Reynolds representing the Favres.
So it feels like both of those should be removed, but to your point, Anne, we should add the Riverside Landing.
I thought I saw the Riverside Landing.
Riverside Landing's kind of done too. Yeah,
Is it done? We signed the...
We approved that.
They're still working on it, though.
Well, the two pieces are done, and the access to the riverfront, the board approved.
We're still paying legal bills, so it's still being worked on.
Okay.
Well, we could still be paying legal bills for the heck of it, though.
South Main Street's here. That's a big project. The roundabout, Smith Bridge Road. That's
Highland Street will be hopefully it'll start, that section again will be started before snow flies. So that's under the 10-year plan as well. It should be.
yes, right. There's those two items on the 10-year plan.
And there should be, can you add Highland Street to that Smith Bridge Road right next there?
Yeah, we should. So major capital improvements. This is an old. I'm going all the way back to the top. Sorry. Have we made any progress on the Hunt Road culvert?
Yeah, I met with their board, and basically they'll they'll be fine. Unfortunately, there's still kind of like the need to either do a quick claim or there's still an ownership issue because the town line goes right through the middle of the culvert.
Did we ask them to give it to us?
Yeah.
And they said
No.
no.
No, but they're willing to participate. And then the problem too is the funds, and there was, there's some available funds with Trout Unlimited or whatever, because it's a trout river. That little clay brook actually has, trout, so there's money available from them, from Trout Unlimited or whatever, to, fix it. And now they might do it without the need for determination of ownership. If we were getting FEMA funds, then we have to own it. So it still would seem like a kind of an annoying headache that we can't quite get there.
Can we give it to them?
Well, we could, but they, I don't think they want it. And
Just
also,
redraw
okay,
the property
first of all,
line around that property.
they don't have any money to do it. So we can give it to them, but
Yeah,
they
but-
have no need to fix it.
Right.
There's only one person living on the other side of that.
And they
that
live in
bridge.
Plymouth,
Yep. And then there's a.
which is why we
District
would
5.
like to own it, just
Oh,
so
yeah.
that we can serve that taxpayer.
Right.
Or either that or move the town line
Well, that's what we kind of initiated, or tried to.
to include that house in there.
Oh.
Can we just perambulate the border and then say this is where the new border is?
Well, we've kind of always mentioned perambulating the town line, which is,
It would actually be like a fun
yeah, I know.
community event if we did it correctly.
Yep. I agree. No, I agree with that. You laugh at that. The
That's the
perambulator.
secret reason why I joined the board. I wanted to perambulate the town.
Well, I thought I'd do that too, like 9 years ago. We haven't done it yet, so.
All right, anything else you guys would like to?
All right.
The bullet item, yeah, let's put perambulate the town on one of the bullet items. But secondary access to schools, is that
Two things.
Yeah, what's the story there?
Either through the community gardens, which Alex was thinking, in the back of his mind to perhaps put an entry through the gardens, through that road that water and sewer have for a sewer line.
That floods, though.
We have.
You can.
We recently got the gate that the police can open from.
Yeah.
From Merrill Street.
There's
so that is
but
a secondary access, right?
yeah, but we're thinking about also having
Beyond just that.
yeah, like a road that would actually allow buses to exit, so you can actually undergo a new Ward Bridge and have an exit on the Tenny Mountain Highway.
Gotcha. So really, this secondary access to schools we're talking about, this is New Ward Bridge, effectively.
And theoretically, it almost got congressional approval because it was.
Because it
And
would be
also-
really expensive to do ourselves.
It would be.
And the problem is too, that to get another curb cut on Tenny Mountain Highway is you can't do it. But DOT would allow for municipal use to put a curb cut right there. So, we would have had approval from DOT, which is the big hurdle for anything else going on there. But
Okay. The other thing it feels like we should be continuing to at least keep track of is what's going on with the across the river, the Oxbow piece and that whole park that's going in over there that we have partial ownership of.
yeah, considering some of the monies took a hike.
And your electric committee as well, your electric commission.
That's mine. I got a report on that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, because that also comes from a sense of the meeting, sort of a
That's
charge
true.
from the town to do that. So, okay. Anything else? Is that there's plenty here? So I don't mean to imply that there's not, but
Armory keep track of this. That's kind of dead for another probably 5 years or something like that. And
it's probably true. We could change that to check back in.
but it's very
4
important
years.
to keep that.
It is, yeah.
to when we're able to. But.
We don't want to lose that across administrations. Okay. Any other discussion on the plate? Neil, I know it's hard for you to participate fully. Did you have any other thoughts or anything around the plate?
Well, you've covered quite a lot of territory. I consider the Smith Bridge intersection with Tenny Mountain Highway to be the highest priority. But of course, that's a state project.
Yeah. Agreed. That one's very important. I don't know. Maybe this relates to town gown, but we do keep hearing about a expected downturn in enrollments at the university. And I don't know if there's anything actively we can do as a board, but it's one of those things we should probably be paying attention to. Because if all of a sudden...
The demographic shift is not in a positive direction.
Correct. And so that affects these neighborhoods that are currently student housing, and over time if we're looking at a 10 to 15 year demographic shift, we could see a change in the way that our town operates.
I would expect that, I know that at least a couple of the landlords that are traditionally catering to students are moving in a direction to pull out of renting to students, because the PSU has a rule where now you have to be
right
junior. You have to, in order to move off campus, you have to have completed your junior year by credits.
Right. So that reduces the number of eligible students to move off campus.
There were two open houses yesterday, 2 student houses that were actually now currently rented to, workers that actually go to, but these were formerly, student houses.
There was not that it was an open house, but there's a third one in that same neighborhood that's under contract, and I don't know who's bought it, but
Okay, actually I saw another
what's the
sign.
road that comes down by the bank, or
That's this
used
one.
to but no longer does.
Yeah, that's this one. It's
Gould Terrace. So there's a building on Gould Terrace that's active under contract right now.
that's this one actually.
No, this one's in addition to that.
Okay, so
There's
that's the
3.
3 Webster Street.
Yeah, 3 Webster Street. I just looked at this today. 3 Webster Street, 6 Crawford, and Gould Terrace. Gould Terrace is under contract, and those 2 aren't yet.
But yeah, at least. Go ahead.
I want to cut in. I talked with one major landlord, and he told me that 80% of his occupants are non-students now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Wiggett was saying that he's started to rent a lot to families, and not students at the moment.
Temi Valley, or whatever they call them, Sheridan's properties, they're doing the same thing.
Now, timing-wise, this might actually be good, because and this is sort of jumping to committee updates, but looking at school board, kindergarten, first grade, third grade, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, those 3 years are all some of the smallest classes we've seen in a decade. So adding, one of the concerns always is, well, you take a student housing, you turn it into, family housing, now you add 3 students, but no additional tax base. But we might actually be in a situation where we're
Becoming a healthy community.
down in student enrollments in the elementary school, and it could make the community more healthy.
Right. But, so yeah, there's definitely issues with regard to the universities going down as far as enrollment and population. And there's like 2 small schools in the New Hampshire, university system. And between Keene and ourselves, and hopefully we're selected to keep viable.
I think last I knew, Plymouth was down something like 300 from last year.
Keene was
Keene
in
is
half.
down a lot more than that.
They
I
went
don't
down
remember the
50%.
number.
Yeah, their enrollment, they started out with like 5,000, I guess, now they're like 24. So,
Well, I'm just talking in the last year, so
Right.
they're continuing their trend.
Yeah. So something to watch, and I'm not sure what we can do with policy or or what, but we may want to get some advice on that. We might want to bring someone in to speak to us or talk, coordinate with the planning board or whatever we can do.
I think that if the town can collaborate with the university to help them develop their programs to a higher level of excellence, it would help both of us.
Yeah, that's still playing uphill against a demographic shift.
Yeah.
And also the trustees and where they want to take the university system.
Well, half the battle for places like Plymouth and Keene is getting people to come. The biggest problem we have in the university system is the state funding of the university system. If you can take your student and send them out of state for cheaper than you can send them in state, it's hard to justify.
Yeah.
And so that's the other factor that we don't have any control over.
I know PSU was offering out-of-state students to come in with an in-state rate. So if they're paying less out of state, why would they want to pay less at an in-state rate for,
That might help attract some out-of-staters that want to go skiing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do anything for your primary demographic, which is your in-state students who, I don't know, if you're a state university or a state university system, your primary focus should be your in-state students.
Correct.
But it's hard.
And as we discuss the LSSA, the university, there's a lot of rationale why they can put up good numbers that, that's to be discussed.
To be discussed, yes, LSSA. All right, so that's it on the Board of Selectmen goals discussion. No correspondence. Actually, we have one correspondence, but we're going to talk about it in non-public. Committee reports. Neil, do you want to go first?
I have not been able to attend any committees since March 28th.
Well, I will cover one of Neil's committees. The planning board had a joint session with the zoning board last week. It went well. It was mostly a sort of coordination meeting to have some open dialogues on what is the planning board looking for in the documentation from the zoning board. What does the zoning board need in terms of ordinance adjustments in order to make their job easier. Mostly the zoning board seemed pretty happy with how all of that was going. Some discussions about accessory dwelling units and some conversations just around housing kind of in general in town. But
I watched it. It was a good meeting. I'm glad that you were able to come together. So
yeah, it was good to get those groups together. Nothing super actionable out of that, but it was good and productive and healthy dialogue.
No fist flying, so
nobody got in any fights. It was nice.
You forwarded me on the economic development.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting, although sort of feels like we're not going to go. Feels like there's a lot of things to do.
Tom, but he's stepping down though.
They elected a new zoning board.
They did elect a new zoning board chair. Which, speaking of, so they elect a new zoning board chair. There's also a new chair of the planning board as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah, John Christ.
A new member on the zoning and the planning board.
Yes, there's a member who is on. Yeah, Peter Julia is now.
And he sounds
on
like a hot
both.
shot.
Yeah, he seems real sharp, and it's nice to have that kind of crossover.
Yeah.
Ted, want to talk to us about Campus Community Council?
Sure. Last Wednesday, we met here at 5 o'clock. The usual cast of characters attended. We did discuss Spring Fling this year. It's on Saturday the 23rd. Basically, they're repeating the same format.
May?
Yeah.
April?
April
23rd.
Sorry.
Right.
basically repeating the same format that they did prior to COVID. They're opening the gates at 8:30 p.m. and closing it at 1 a.m. They're going to be enticing people to kind of hang out and be there, using, free pizza and all that other stuff to kind of keep the crowd as contained to the campus as possible. This is going to be on Mary Lyon Lawn. And they do plan for a Sunday morning cleanup brigade to go out and find any trash. But like I said, the hope is that they're going to keep everybody there, and by ending at 1 a.m., they'll be tired enough not to go elsewhere. Alex, was that pretty much the sense of it? Okay, good.
Just a quick side note. I don't think that you've mentioned it to the board, but you have set up an arrangement with the university to help with their current staffing issues?
Yeah, so we have been helping out, so they've been paying some of our staff to help them on the weekends when it gets busy.
So rather than bring folks in from UNH or other areas?
We're trying to use the local officers that know the area. Obviously, the UNH officers will be here for Saturday for the concert. I think there's 11 of them coming over. So they're going to be stationed with, other officers that know the area still. But on the weekends, we've been helping the university out with their calls.
Which is nice. Good
Yes,
intercollegiate. And, rather than them paying someone over here, we, get some more money into our officers' pockets. It's better.
More or less that they're going to have no daytime events on that day of, and the Monday after. They have an open house for accepted students event. So the hope is that everything will be looking good for those.
When is that?
The 23rd of April.
The open house is the 23rd?
Oh, well, one of them is,
Right.
and the other one is on the
Spring.
following Monday.
Okay. So whatever. Okay.
They're having one of the open house on the same day as,
They are.
Spring fling.
just like they did 3 years ago.
Huh.
Make that campus look like a hopping place to be.
Great.
Yep. Well, I mean,
The poor parents.
and they did mention that they're staffing with supplements from UNH and, if available, from the state police. Let's see. So then the conversation went to the whole purpose of the community council meeting and how it's still largely only attended by, some representatives from PSU and the representatives from the town. And
Smattering of landlords.
in this case, I think there were 2 landlords there. And basically, if no one's going to come, why bother have it? Which they're getting the information from other sources. So, long story short, we got Marlon, or actually Nick got Marlon, to agree to doing that whole back to school thing, which apparently they've had participation from the town landlords in the past because of COVID, and continuing that in August. No dates specifically yet, but using that as the vehicle to do that communication with the town and the landlords at the beginning of the school year, when really there's more interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically taking the CCC as a regularly meeting committee and tabling it for the time being to as needed.
So we're going to go from twice a year to not at all?
Was
Is
it
that
quarterly?
It was twice a year.
Was quarterly, then it was twice a year.
Okay.
It was quarterly, then COVID, so it was none, and then it was twice a year, and now it sounds like we're going back to none.
So
Is that meeting Zoom?
No.
in person right here?
Would it
was in
help?
person. I doubt it would really help.
You'd have some people watch it.
What is your sense?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a landlord.
It's
It wasn't really. It's not really the community council it used to be. But I think the biggest thing was is everyone with cell phones and emails, we all communicate sometimes daily, sometimes weekly. And that didn't used to happen, and now it does. So I think that's kind of a large effect to it, is that we all talk and communicate regularly than what we used to do.
And you know, Marlon is saying that, you know, people have a problem, they'll call.
Yeah. Right, and people, if they have problems, they don't wait until a meeting, they call us. So it's,
And this has been what we saw last year, you know, the 2 meetings from last year that I was present for. It was basically us and the landlords. No other perspective, and it was mostly us and the landlords complaining that they're the only ones that come. So,
So who else should be there? It feels terrible to go to 0.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem right either. 'Cause we're supposed to be building a partnership.
well, the question comes up is,
I mean, if we have a priority around town gown relationships to
Right.
to drop one of our scheduled touch points, just it does feel.
Well, and also considering I got onto the CCC along with Ted. I wasn't invited to the meeting, and now it's done. Crap. So yeah, I kind of indicated that I wanted to be on that for a good reason. I think it's important to have an open forum,
Absolutely.
and just because you share texts, you know, with you know, like the landlords and stuff, it's not like an open meeting.
Right, that's a closed forum instead of
Yeah.
an open forum.
so the question then becomes, is if we're going to have it regularly scheduled, how do we get
there.
people to come?
Yeah.
Well, to some extent, this goes back to our need. Even, I mean, we sit here with 0 participation on Zoom and only Frank in the audience. Now, obviously, we maybe get some rebroadcast on
Yeah.
YouTube. We maybe get a little bit, but we have a general attendance issue
As a whole.
as a whole.
And, you know, it's hard to say whether, I mean, I know we publicize it on the town website. The problem with it is way too passive.
And nobody's going to the town website. You know.
Mm.
I still think we need to get some sort of sign on Main Street. You know, whether that's a sandwich board, whether that's
I
a
think
physical
sandwich board
free.
is going to be not good enough. I think
It's going to be more than 0, right? Like
Just like
that's
a
we're at
kiosk or
0.
something.
something like what is out in front of Silver, just up, that you can change the lettering on.
Yeah, but where?
You know, out in front of the town hall would be.
Whoa, we've got $500,000 we need to spend. Sorry.
I mean,
I agree-
if
I
we're
agree.
really trying
I
to
agree.
drive people,
I think we need a sign.
Something.
We need a sign. We've talked about it for so long.
Can I make a motion that we go out and investigate getting a sign?
We don't need a motion, we'll
We
come
need a
back with
sign.
some numbers.
And aware.
I want to chip in. I think it's important that we should have a meeting at the beginning of the fall semester.
Yeah, I think
And
that's-
then after that, maybe kind of gauge if it's needed.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, that's largely what was proposed.
Yeah, but that's not gonna build an alliance.
Well,
If we're
so
only
if
gonna deal with problems.
if Marlon's gonna host this big thing in August, what is there going to be to talk about if we wait till after that?
Problems and issues.
well, I think the biggest issue was when Ted sent out the email, it only went to a handful of people.
The people from the
How-
last,
How do we get that out to other people? That's the biggest concern. Like, how do we compile an email chain for this?
And who are we looking at? Community members? Who-
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
That's
should be
what it
looking
is,
at
yeah.
committee members,
Community
yeah.
members should be coming in with their concerns and what's going on.
I got
Was,
one person that asked to be added to the list after, during election, town meeting. They asked to be added and I added them. But other than the list that I had from the time before,
Right. And there was a little bit of miscommunication around the list because Marlon had a different list than the list we had, but you sent up a follow-up.
I sent it out to everybody that was suggested.
Yep. Everybody who's
And I got, aside from Bruce, the one we already knew wanted to be there,
Well,
I
and
got-
Nick Mason.
He was on the original list.
Yeah. Oh, he was. Okay.
Got 0 responses.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I think was Jeff Therian at the Campus Community Council?
Jim was.
Jim was, right. And so that would have come via that second email sent.
Yeah, but he
He wouldn't have
didn't.
been
He
on the
didn't
original
respond to the.
Didn't
message.
respond, but did show up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we forwarded it to our landlord contact.
Was the T Rose there?
Yeah, it was on the original list because they.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, they weren't at the meeting, yeah.
No.
They're selling.
What about, like the senior, whatever, the group, the government, the student executive or, senior, group?
I don't know what you're trying to describe.
It's basically the
Like Student Senate kind of thing?
yeah, the student senate, and they were there,
They weren't there either.
historically, they've always been there, yeah.
Yeah. Nope.
I don't know, I mean, if we want to give up on it, that's fine, but if you want to like.
No, I think we need to give it at least one more shot, and maybe we put a little bit more
Yeah,
We just
getting
need
it
a
out there.
emotion,
yeah.
oomph behind it.
Group of contact.
And part of that might be that we need to talk about an agenda in advance. Put it on our agenda to talk about an agenda so that then when we talk about it, it's not like, oh, it's just a place for the landlords to come and complain. That that it is a community
If we have that,
engagement
if they have
event.
that signage out front, that's a step in the right.
That's a
direction.
step, and then we could post an agenda on the website in advance so that if they see the sign, they could say, well, what is that about? And they could find out what it's about.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we can publicize it.
it works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just said I would bring it forward.
No, I appreciate it.
I just wish we'd partner better with them. We talk about them, us losing headcount with them. Neil's suggestion as far as, building, we each rely on each other. So I think of Sir Michael, and the things he's trying to do with Tenny Mountain, partnering with the university. Why, as a town, we're not doing it, right? We both need each other. And it just feels frustrating. It really does.
Sir Michael should be there too, for that matter, but yeah, I mean, they all have like common interests.
Planning board, maybe we, promote this to those various boards as well.
True.
Do we have any distribution lists for the town?
I do. I'll send you some information.
And could you
I
put
have
me
other-
on, could you
I
put
have-
me on the board too? Well, no, technically, I'm on it, so.
I have, I believe, businesses that was made public to me from an outside source. I have all the businesses along Main Street. But we can create a distribution list.
So we have a distribution list that we can send to.
Yes.
Okay, because not having to
Paste a bunch of emails
into an address list is going to be
Nice.
helpful.
I know Alex had a distribution list as well when he needs to reach out to people quickly. He
So
can-
maybe what we need is a list of our distribution lists that are relatively available to us. Because up until now, I wasn't aware that we
should
actually had
post it
any.
in the paper as well.
Yeah, or also social media too, for that
Notifications.
matter.
I mean,
you know,
all
a lot
those
of people-
combinations, not just one.
Yeah. But in any of those cases, I think having an agenda that says that's,
Absolutely.
not just a campus community
Right,
council.
right. No,
Well, I don't know what that
absolutely.
means, but yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll work on that.
School district still has Mary Ann's name, but it's me and Ted. Elementary school, no change. Well, actually, Stephanie Halter got elected there, so new board member, but no change in leadership there. They did talk, as I mentioned earlier, about some of the demographics that they're facing and what that could mean for them in the coming year, especially as they look at budgets. Those small classes are surprising.
Surprising? How surprising?
Pretty surprising. I mean, I think I'm going to get the numbers wrong and I'm going to say it on YouTube, but it's something like, if they had a class that was, 60 students in the past, they've got a class coming in that's 35 or 40.
So half.
Not quite half, but small.
But getting there, yeah.
Small, yeah. There were some classes over the years that came through where you needed 3 rooms for that class, and
Now you only need 2.
you only need 2 when you're looking at some of these groups. Which, if that's a 3-year thing that passes through the school, no big deal. If that's the new trend line, that's the kind of thing that would reduce staffing headcounts over time. Which is actually how they managed to level fund the budget this past year. They didn't backfill one role.
State's getting older. Birth rate dropped, horribly. So
And I did go to the high school one, so I could.
Yeah, and Ted, you went to the high school one.
I went to the high school one. It started promptly at 5 p.m. on 4/5, and there were 3 people in the audience, myself included. One was Omer Ahern Jr., who was given the floor to talk about some initiatives they have for getting nurses at the county level, and up in Crafton.
Haverhill.
Yeah, Haverhill. Sign-on bonuses. They're looking for connections to get, corrections officers, things like that. So they're looking for basically some sort of partnership with the high school to kind of push some people in their direction in terms of careers. So he had the floor for a couple of minutes. The high school student rep gave a report on student council activities, their spring fling dance, their spring carnival, and some honor society inductees. And the meeting was relatively short because of their step-up night activities, the things from 8th graders going to basically then some committee announcements, and they had a closed session and they booted us out.
Those are quick meetings.
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That was a long one then.
Maybe.
Yeah. They're usually pretty short. Good. Capital Improvement Committee, we met again.
Conservation.
Oh, I skipped over conservation. I thought Neil said he didn't go to any.
Oh.
No, he didn't go to any.
He had to skip. So this is advisory budget. Capital improvements below, right? No, it still hasn't been updated. That needs to be split still. I'll talk about capital improvement. So the subcommittee met a week and a half ago. We meet again this Friday. We've got our first draft of a spreadsheet with all the equipment in it. So, they met with the police and highway and fire and recycling, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got a start, a little bit of momentum going there, and a agreed upon charge of who we are. And it looks like a good active group of people. Excited to see that continue.
And when Lakes Region Planning Commission actually comes through with the road evaluation, that's going to be wrapped up in this as well?
Yes, our goal is to try to get as much put in there as we can this year, understanding that if we come up short, we're going to try to do as complete a job as possible on fewer things, but try to get as much as we can.
Excellent.
Joseph has been really fantastic. That's June's assistant planner.
Yeah.
He's really doing some good work there to support the work. LRPC. Oh, actually, Ted first. Advisory Budget Committee, has that met?
No, not meeting, but they did send along that was last time, I think.
Yeah, I think it was last time.
So there's nothing new.
Nothing new. LRPC met.
Well, yeah, we had the
Commissioners meeting
Commissioners
immediately
meeting here.
following this
Yeah.
last 2 weeks ago.
Do you want to talk about that?
I was going to let you.
Okay, because I've got so anyway, yeah, money coming down the pike. As far as now, I'm drawing blanks Hit it.
They talked about the 10-year plan, a couple of the 10-year plan things that were on the list for
For the tap or whatever.
the TAP. Yeah. They did a really nice inventory, I thought, of various different funding sources that I thought was good. It struck me while I was sitting there that I really wanted June in the room.
Well, actually, I filled June in. I gave her all the
Oh, you did?
information.
Okay, good.
And also, too, Paige Wilson, who was, attending that meeting, she was actually stepping down from Lakes Region Planning Commission. And she is kind of fresh and young, has a lot of ideas on how to, pursue funding. And she offered up this document that, the executive director said, nah, it's not really, what is out there to ask for money. It's like the connections you make to ask for money. And I'm thinking, okay, but it's nice to have the list as well. So we had Lakes Region Planning Commission meeting that week, and I asked Paige to bring the list. So I got that.
Nice.
But yeah, and she's she was a real asset to
And
both.
she's going to
DES.
Solid Waste or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is good for her, but it's kind of unfortunate for
Unfortunate for the Lakes region.
and also Perlac too. She was assigned to Perlac, but anyway. And as far as the executive committee, LRPC executive committee, that's tomorrow, Meredith, and I'll be attending that.
Okay.
Their annual meeting is coming up as well. I don't have the date in front of me, but it's going to be at the Mojalaki Golf Course in Franklin. And Franklin was targeted because of that Whitewater project.
Whitewater project.
Yeah. I saw part of that. I didn't see the whole thing, but it looks pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
and Franklin is actually downtown Franklin is looking a lot better.
Yeah, it seems like they're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, speaking of parks, Ted, Parks and Rec Commission.
Nothing new.
Nothing new. Nope. There's news from parking.
There is good news on parking. Good news.
So all the inserts are in, and Scott worked really hard and got them all installed already. So all the meters are up and running, and they don't accept quarters, but you put your quarter in, reads 15 minutes, still $1 an hour, but you can put a quarter in. And
So now can I put enough for 3 hours in?
So downtown is only 2-hour limits.
So I can only put in the 8 quarters, but I can go back out again and put another 8 in? Just asking.
Asking for a friend.
Don't tell that.
They're slated for 2 hours.
Right.
Green Street's 10 hours. The upper part of Highland Street's 10 hours. Langdon, Merrill, High, those are 10 hours. But downtown, they try to keep them as a 2-hour limit. That way, people can come in
Sure.
and out, and the people don't just utilize that for daily parking. We have the kiosk lot that's for long-term parking, and Green Street if you need long-term parking.
So now that you guys will be ticketing, Scott will be.
Yep.
Because I've been telling people don't
Yep.
worry about it. Well, because that was, they put a
All the
quarter
meters
in and.
work, and yes, they will
Right.
be enforced.
Okay.
And you can actually, these new meter heads actually are really nice. You can see 2 red dots or 2 green dots. So the green dots mean you're good, red, not good. And it is a $30 ticket for an expired meter, so it's much cheaper just to put a
Wow.
quarter in.
Yeah.
Geez, didn't Concord 10? How do we rate?
So yes, parking is in good hands.
That's good.
Scott's hard work.
So Scott, can we take a look at the cars that are parked longer than 2 hours? Or take a picture of them or something, or what? You
So,
can't mark
so
the
you
tires,
you
right?
can take pictures of it. So our enforcement program, you can take pictures, but yeah. And then obviously on the business side, it's only 30 minutes free parking. But full enforcement.
Full enforcement back in order.
So we're going to be pumping up the budget there.
Yeah.
And you can still use Park Mobile throughout downtown in the back streets. And people are using it. So keep a track on it.
Yeah. I'll use it enough to just download the app and
Yeah.
use it, so.
And
I
you-
use it daily.
Yeah, you can pay for your parking ticket with a credit card now, too.
But then you gotta use it.
we
You
have
gotta
our
use it.
credit card
Your
machine
credit
at
card
the
machine is
PD,
up and running.
Any services that we would charge for regular, you can use your credit card machine. You can do it online or you can do it with the PD. So
Without an
our credit card-
added cost, user fee, whatever, or just.
The user
There
fee
is a
goes
user
to the
fee.
user.
2.95.
So nothing to us.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait a minute, you can do that?
You just started it.
Well, so
Legally, though, honestly.
So our parking has always been able to pay online through our parking enforcement program, but our credit card machine is for, reports and, things like that.
Right.
That percentage does go on the user. It's just like any other business around here. If you go use your credit card, usually that user fee goes on.
Well, that's why I
You have
asked,
to
because
publicize it, though.
Mm.
You have
You
to tell them in
check your
advance.
MasterCard and Visa to see if it's allowed.
no,
Otherwise,
it
you're
was
violating
a
the terms
state
of
thing.
use.
Are you allowed to charge extra for somebody using a credit card?
It's not a state thing, it's a credit card company thing.
Yeah.
This was a state thing I was looking at.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if you have
Now
somebody
it's
giving
just-
you a different fee for your credit card versus cash, then they can report you to the credit card company. And a credit card company could come down
Depending
on
on
you
whether or
because
not
you
it's in your-
violate their usage.
Share usage agreement, yeah.
Well, it's then what? I guess it's how you term it.
You have to inform them.
Convenience.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, yeah.
So as long as they're informed,
Right.
you're covered.
Yeah. It's obnoxious even being informed, but
I had a situation once where somebody gave a price and they charged me a different price because I used the credit card. It's like, you didn't tell me.
Yeah. Economic Development Committee is still in stasis.
yeah. Any day now. Any day.
Energy Commission, I'm skipping Neil.
Oh, I am
Oh,
energy.
you went to
So,
Energy
yeah.
Commission. All right, well, then I don't need to skip.
And there is a meeting tomorrow night in the town hall, and they have completed the draft, and actually it's posted on the town website for the RFQ. And we'll see where that goes. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow's meeting to chat about it. So,
Good.
yeah,
That's kind of exciting.
I think so.
Public comments.
Yes, I would like to make one. My comments on acceptance of donation. I would like to see a single-page letter expressing the policies, procedures, and protocol for citizens wanting to donate to a specific event or project within the town of Plymouth. Some history. When I was the airport manager, I had a citizen come up and want to donate $15,000 to the town to help reconstruct or stabilize the hangar. There was no policies or procedures to accept any monies. Right now, this week and the last couple weeks, there's been discussion about improving the town common with some picnic tables, some brick pads, systems, and at the time, there's no actual number about how much it's going to cost, but the discussion on citizens that are interested is to donate, come up with monies to donate that so that we don't have to raise and appropriate and wait another year. We can get this done now. And my work on the Green Street parking improvement program that is still an extension of 1995 Green Street plan, which there's a lot of potential for enhancing our parking system, but requires some components to make it safe. But we have no legal means to accept monies, donations. So listening to your comments about the limit of 10,000 and needing to have it accepted officially. But the other part is having a single placard sheet that if we were to try to get donations to accomplish something in the town common, we would know the proper procedure. If there were checks, is it in the name of the town of Plymouth or the department like Parks and Recs? People will donate to a cause if they know those monies are going to actually solve that issue of the cause. And we are shortchanging ourselves by not allowing citizens or people who come here that like to see certain parts of our town improved. And I think this would be a very helpful event. And so that's, and one other subject, in 1985, I was part of the group that laid out the Heritage Trail along the Baker River, part of Main Street and Baker River, and that alternate access to the school system was also available. Now, the actual Heritage Trail goes in the flood zone, floodway, I mean, down in the area where it'd be damp, would not be good for vehicles. But there are areas within the flood zone, but up on the upper side, south of the riverbank, that would allow a reasonably nominal, class 5 right-of-way, properly designed road that would come off of that area right by the north end of the National Guard facility and the Gardens parking lot. So that, I believe, needs to be looked at. My suggestion is you take a roll of surveyor's ribbon and walk it out, and then you have the engineers come out and talk about specific elements, but at least have the various committees be able to review the proposed location to see if it's a viable potential. And also, there's also citizen discussion about the future of our principal industry in town, which is the academic industry. We think about the university. There is potentials there for enhancement of its enrollment and its subjects being taught. So part of that economic development is understanding our inventory of our industries. There are 1,180 industries. They're divided into 20 sectors. Right now, the town of Plymouth has an industry in all 20 sectors of the North American Industry Classification System. But part of your reevaluation is to understand the numbers that go with those industries to determine which ones you want to work with to enhance the growth of. So that the university and our academic industry of the high school, grade school, still has great potential for finding industry growth in the town of Plymouth. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other public comment potential,
All right,
so
can I make a motion?
I would love that.
I'd like to move that we go into non-public session in accordance with RSA 91A:3, Roman numeral 2, A, personnel, and D, real estate.
I'll second.
Ted?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Mary Ann?
Aye.
Neil? Neil?
He turned his,
Zach, aye.
I'm here.
oh, okay.
We're going into non-public. We're looking for a vote to go into non-public. I heard an aye. And Zach, aye.